Welcome to Deep Thought, Speculative Scenario, Another Species. Now, check this out. You know, I said we're going to talk about some stuff just for you to think about, have some fun. What if we're not the only species of human on this planet? What if we not? And now I think about several scenarios with that. I'm going to get into one particular one that's been popular in movies lately and in comics, but there was another one. I mean, you definitely get it on a supernatural thing. Like I had a dear friend of mine. Her name was Leslie Ersdale Banks, and she wrote about vampires and werewolves. And you know, she did it in terms of the secret society or secret group thing. That's actually a popular thing, you know, secret group, people you don't know about living here. And like, what if we had actual werewolves or vampires? In fact, Octavia Butler, she wrote something. I would say they were vampire-like, her take on it. And, you know, if Octavia Butler did it, for those who don't know, classic science fiction writer. I don't mean any disrespect to anybody, but I always check out like black science fiction writers because they look at stuff differently. The focus is more on the beings than technology. It just is. It's especially the classic ones, Octavia Butler, Stephen Barnes, because Octavia Butler has transitioned, and Stephen Barnes, somebody like Stephen Barnes, Tananarive do. Very powerful. I actually met Steve and Tananarive. So for those who are science fiction fans, that's a powerful couple right there. Very interesting people. But you know, they in fact, Tananarive had talked about something. She was talking about well, that's not necessarily another species. I'm gonna let that one go. But anyway, imagine we had that. Or I think about a TV show that was on, like in my speculative scenario yesterday, I talked about that show Revolution. It was a brief show that was on ABC TV in the late 90s. It was called Prey. And the premise was there was another species of human being that had evolved, and they were evolving quickly. And it was interesting, other than them just being beautiful. Have y'all noticed whenever they do stuff like that, the new species or different people are extremely beautiful, especially if it's on the CW. Anyway, this was an interesting species because, like, the women in the species had 4 uteruses, so they could bear 4 children at a time. And, and apparently they were very vicious and, had some latent psychic ability and stuff like that. But what if we actually have that? Now, according to, if in case y'all haven't figured it out by now, I have connections with, shall we say, some conspiracy circles, or some circles that believe in UFOs, definitely some circles that are into some deep metaphysics, the type that you're not going to find in Barnes and Noble or any books. And, a person in there had said, made the statement that 98% of human beings are descended from one womb. And he's never quite come back with, what about the other 2%? And that could be another species, because understand Homo sapiens, Homo sapiens. That's a relatively recent species. If just on a pure anthropological basis, there's been several species of human beings. I mean, we have traces of Neanderthal. For some reason, people don't talk about Cro-Magnon, and then you have groups in Asia and all over that they keep finding. I remember briefly perusing an article about a different species of human that they found in South Africa. And then, of course, when you get into the UFO communities, they, some of these like weird shape skulls and stuff that they'll find on some people, they'll say, oh, that must have been an alien. Nah, it's probably another species of man. Because we really, See, understand, we only have one public human species now, despite the different gradations of melanin in each person's skin. It's still the same species by the fact that we can mate with each other. But what if there was another species? I want y'all to think about it. What if there's another one who maybe looked close enough to human? Maybe couldn't close enough to mate, but at least enough to stay out of the limelight. Or be in some place that's insulated. Despite what people think, most of the planet, there's still places that hasn't been mapped or, groups, or even with animals and stuff. I use the example of gorillas. Gorillas weren't known until the 19th century. They weren't really discovered because people had to go deep. They didn't know they were there. There's no literature that said they were around. Nobody talked about them in ancient times, but they've always been there. Or even in the United States, when you talk about the so-called Bigfoots. Now, we haven't found that. We don't know what it is, but what if that's another species of animal that somehow managed to avoid human detection, or at least have the numbers to avoid it? We still don't know. There's still animal species that are being discovered, depending on where they are. What if you have a species of human? And they don't necessarily, in science fiction, they might, people might write, oh yeah, they managed to integrate themselves into regular human society. They don't stand out that much, or something, at least on the surface, look like the same type of human and stuff. But what if we had that? What if we had, like in that series Prey that I just told you about, they were called Homo Dominant. What if we had that? What if it's there? Because how much do we really know? They could be there anyway. But how would people take that? Because there's a lot of stuff. Let me go on a tangent on that. We have a lot of stuff going on that just, if they talk about it, it'd be some obscure news article. Because, the society we got now would rather deal with, the coming and going of some royals who don't care about them or whatever, which Kardashian is doing whatever. Shit. Maybe the Kardashians are those like the other human species. I don't know. They got some magic or something to keep attention on them, and nobody's really questioning. Nobody's done a DNA test on them. It probably would explain Kanye though. But what if we had that? How would humanity respond if something was exposed? Especially when we live in most cultures now that we can't even deal with somebody who have different skin color in many cases. That's still an issue. Or different pattern of thinking, as is the case when dealing with people on the autism spectrum. So imagine if we had just another set of humans, there's something different about them. I don't know. And they don't have to be like that X-Men scenario or even a vampire scenario, science fiction scenario where they trying to do anything. They probably keep their numbers at a low. Shoot, even Anne Rice dealt with that a bit in one of her books. Not so much with the vampires, but I think it was a species called Tartos, like real tall human beings and stuff. And they had a hard time. There wasn't enough of them to really mate. What if we have that? What if the stories of, different supernatural beings have a basis in reality? And I know some people listening, they probably like, man, is it what Rom talk about? Yeah, this is the Deep Thought channel. This the place to think about anything. There's nothing crazy to think about on here. But you wonder about that because you really do have so much space, or then if somebody's smart enough, shoot. It might even really be, for those who are conspiracy theorists and talk about the days, particularly like the Illuminati or something, with the Illuminati just another human species. That's some stuff. Hey, if my channel gets snatched, I know why now. But it's an interesting scenario. How would, if they were revealed, how would we respond? Would we be cool? Or would we be like, hey, let's build a wall. Let's keep them out. Let's do a witch hunt. Have an organization that really deal with them. So anyway, that's all I got. I'm going to give y'all another one tomorrow. This This one's my favorite. I'm waiting for the movie on this one. So anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and many blessings.